Hello and welcome back to Swedish Tales of Horror and Drama. This time we will recapture what happened when four Saab 29 jet fighters dived right through the ice into Lake Glottern in 1955. A terrible accident with four young lives lost. On that fateful Monday morning, two divisions start their Saab 29s, flying barrels in popular speech, from Swedish Air Force F13 wing in Norrköping in order to perform training flight. The purpose of the exercise was to practice formation flying at 10,000 meters. The weather was extremely gloomy for being the beginning of May. Thick cloud cover with low cloud base only some 200 meters and occasional fog. The idea was to climb through the clouds and practice in the sunshine on top of the clouds. One of the groups in the 3rd Division, 4 aircraft, start in the usual way, but after 4 minutes they disappear from air traffic control's radar. All 4 aircraft have gone in a 30-degree dive straight down towards Lake Glottern and through the ice. 4 pilots have met a terrible fate. What in the world happened? Please click like and subscribe. The Saab 29 flying barrel is a legend in the Swedish Air Force. It was the first Swedish-built aeroplane that had world-class performance in comparison with contemporary fighter planes. The Swedish aircraft manufacturer Saab has begun designing aircraft for the Swedish Air Force during World War II with the 2 piston and propeller aircraft that was good but not world-class, and 1 jet fighter that was quite mediocre, to be honest. But just after the peace in 1945, the development began of what later come to be Aircraft 29. The first flight was conducted in 1946 by an American test pilot, and the plane came into active service around 1950. It was a really great design, with performance in the same class as the contemporary American fighter, North American F-86 Sabre and the Soviet MiG-15. The flying barrel looked like a fat, ugly duckling on the ground, but transferred to a beautiful swan in the air. In 1954, a Swedish Air Force captain set a world speed record with the J-29 with an average speed of 977 km per hour on a 500 km course. This distanced the previous American record by 27 km per hour. The maximum speed was around 1075 km per hour, which means that it was not a supersonic aircraft. The Saab 29 was produced in 661 examples, mainly for the Royal Swedish Air Force and to some minor extent Austria Air Force. The plane was considered very potent and with nice flying attributes, at least in higher speeds. The 29 was somewhat hard to manage in lower speeds when the arrow-shaped wings gave surprising properties when banking in low speeds made the plane roll in a way that was unfamiliar with the pilots. Landing could also be somewhat tricky due to the narrow landing gear construction. The Saab 29 have been in active war duty in Africa in 1961 during the Congo crisis, where 9 flying barrels participated in the United Nations fighter wing and fought against Congolese forces. It was thus not perfect flying weather. At the joint briefing at 8 in the morning, it had even been decided that Monday was a non-flying day for the time being, due to the clouds and the fog. The airmen of the 3rd Division had switched to theoretical training while waiting for the weather to improve. The weather did improve slightly and visibility improved. The order to fly was given, and shortly afterwards the 2nd Division took off, and the commander of the 3rd Division decided that his division would follow. No take-off permission from the flotilla commander was obtained, though. The 3rd Division consisted of 2 groups of 4 aircraft each. After the start from runway 15, the group turned left and flew in an arc around Norrköping. The group leader requested permission to do a cloud pass upwards on course 30 degrees. What happened next is shrouded in obscurity to this day. The accident report cannot give any precise information, and it is rather assumptions and theories than clear facts that tell about the 4 pilots' terrible fate in Glottern's icy waters. The Air Force statement about the crash itself is brief. After starting a cloud passing and a few kilometers into the flight, the group, probably during a slight right turn, came down in a joint formation through the clouds, close to the ground, and went into the Lake Glottern with a course of 20 to 30 degrees and in a 10 to 30 degree dive. All aircraft totaled and the pilots perished. The 4 planes hit the ice with a violent force and the crash was heard throughout the area. Several people in the neighborhood also witnessed the dramatic explosions from distance. But there was an eyewitness who lived in a cabin by the beach. The aircraft crashed about 100 meters west of his cabin. This is how he told about the accident. I had traveled out to my cabin and was sitting in front of it when the bang came. When I turned around, the entire air was filled with swirling aircraft parts, and a large piece hit the ground only 10 meters from me. I thought my last moment had come, and I rushed into the cabin to take shelter. Well, about 100 meters out from the shore spread a wide, dirty yellow patch of oil and ice slush, which, together with all the pieces of wreckage that lay scattered over the entire ice, bore ample witness to the terrible accident that had happened, and with what violent and devastating force the impact must have happened. There were many question marks immediately after the accident, and no reasonable explanation for the crash could be found. The strange thing was that the planes had orders to increase altitude, but instead they have undertaken a dive. Whether this is due to an instrument error, to the human factor, or to the fact that before undertaking the ascent one wanted to go down under the clouds to orient themselves, is not completely clear. The main clue in the investigation, however, is that the group leader, Second Lieutenant Hallstrand, had started with a locked horizon gyro instrument. The horizon gyro would normally be disengaged in flight but could be locked for certain flight modes. However, the gyro must be adjusted on the ground or in plain flight to show correctly. The other 3 in the group were busy holding their position in the formation in the thick clouds. They therefore followed the group leader. If the group leader was flying with the gyro horizon locked, he may have either misjudged the position of the horizon or discovered that the gyro was locked and intended to descend to gain ground visibility and thereby reset his gyro. The accident in May 1955 was the worst accident involving the Saab 29. 4 young pilots died in the tragic accident. They were part of about 600 pilots in the Swedish Air Force who died during flight exercises during the Cold War. You did a great job, lads. You made sure that the Swedes were safe during troubled times. Thanks for that. Rest in peace.